This is Peter Schiff, arguably the most outspoken Bitcoin critic in the world. This is a man who has maintained the same exact stance on Bitcoin since 2011. It should be no surprise to those that are familiar with Peter's background that he will likely never change his opinion regarding the cryptocurrency, no matter what facts he's presented with. Even his own son calls him out on it. Mr. Schiff is what many call a gold bug. We can spend an entire video, probably even a series of videos, talking about Austrian economics and the fact that today's money isn't tied to any sort of commodity like it used to be before August 15, 1971, when President Nixon decided that the US would no longer convert dollars to gold, thus ending the long era of the gold standard. But instead, to cut down on time, I wanted to focus my attention on all those people split in the middle who are still hesitant about buying Bitcoin. Unfortunately, if you look down at the comments, you will likely see two types of people: the Bitcoin and crypto lunatics on one side, and the gold is king, Bitcoin is a scam crusaders on the other. If you're anything like me, somewhere in this vast middle that the algorithm doesn't seem to like, between the two loud extremes are the moderates. And in this video, we answered the important questions without bias, without screaming, and without smugness. If you find yourself anywhere between Peter Schiff and Anthony Papo, this is the video for you, where we answer all the questions on your mind. Starting on Peter's side, the anti-Bitcoin arguments. We begin with this clip from 2011 that captures Mr. Schiff's points rather quickly. Take a listen.
But ultimately, Bitcoin is going to collapse, and any demand that it might have siphoned away from gold, is going to return to gold. I mean, the Bitcoin story, it's one of a bubble. It's, a modern day tulip mania. It's fool's gold. I've said that from the beginning. It doesn't matter that the price has gone up. I mean, I've never said that the bubble couldn't get bigger or that the price couldn't rise. My only point is that the price is unsustainable because Bitcoin itself has no value. It has no use. Yes, if people believe the price is going to go up and they're willing to buy it, well, the price will go up. But it only goes up if more people make the same mistake and are willing to pay an even higher price than the last fool. Well, eventually the supply of fools runs out and the greatest fool ends up as the bag holder.
Here's the thing you need to know about Schiff and his arguments. He strongly believes that the United States, specifically the Federal Reserve, is headed down a dark path that will eventually lead to the US dollar becoming worthless. His solution to this problem includes investing in various precious metals, foreign stocks, and more specifically, gold. Researching his company Euro Pacific Capital and Schiff Gold reveals that he's in the business of selling precious metal, so there are incentives for him to push this narrative. But in the end, if you read enough about Peter, I truly think that he's not only motivated by business and money, but by his heart. Reading about his background, he has always been a very outspoken anti-government personality. In fact, his father Irvin was one of America's most famous libertarians, infamously arguing that income tax is illegal and unconstitutional, an opinion that cost him years of his life behind bars. So while I truly believe Peter's intentions are not motivated purely by profits, I do think that his opinion on Bitcoin is rather suspicious. Here is why. If you're a believer in this idea that the amount of money printing we are doing is extremely harmful and detrimental to the currency, well, Bitcoin seeks to solve that. Just take a listen to this clip. This is where we begin to see some rather bizarre opinions emerge from him.
I know what you're thinking. I'm going to say it for you. Gold hasn't risen because what Bitcoin has risen, right? Is that the other answer that you were thinking, or no?
Well, I don't know how much buying that might have gone into gold went into Bitcoin instead.
Yeah.
I think it's, very little, as far as the size of the gold market. Maybe it's significant to the Bitcoin market, but I think it's kind of irrelevant to the gold market. What I do think may be happening, though, with the Bitcoin story, which is centered on the false belief that Bitcoin is digital gold and is going to replace gold. That's, part of the spiel that they use to try to sucker people into buying it, right? That's the Bitcoin story, that Bitcoin is gold, but it's nothing like gold at all. It has absolutely nothing in common with gold. But to the extent that some people that really don't understand what gold is, who maybe are in the institutional space, maybe they would be buying gold. But because they believe that maybe gold's future is being impacted by Bitcoin and that, maybe gold won't go up because Bitcoin will steal its thunder, it's possible that some institutions that otherwise might be buying gold maybe are not doing it. I don't think they're buying Bitcoin either.
So there you have Peter saying that Bitcoin isn't a fair replacement for gold because it doesn't have any value. And this is where I begin my criticism. Every time I post a video about gold on my channel, the comments are always centered around this idea that gold has incredible intrinsic value. And yes, those people are technically correct, it does, but with a huge asterisk. If you take a look at gold overall, only about 5 to 10% of the supply is used in the industrial sector. So while the statement is technically correct and true, we all know that the price of gold isn't dictated by this small slice of demand, but rather is influenced more by central banking demand, investment demand, and worldwide supply. Gold is largely psychological in price, meaning that its value isn't dictated by financial performance or earnings. You know, the typical measurements we use to dictate pricing among stocks. It is largely just a shiny rock at the end of the day that derives its value from the fact that it's 1, rare, and 2, impossible to replicate or counterfeit. Sound familiar? Gold bugs and Bitcoin holders have one thing in common that they are 100% right about: the fear of paper money. Even gold and Bitcoin bear Warren Buffett agrees with this theory. Take a listen to this 2013 statement.
I will guarantee you that farmland over 100 years is going to be gold, and so are equities.
Why do you think gold bugs get so irate? Because they really come out.
Yeah, it's very interesting. If you go on CNBC and say that bonds are kind of a poor investment, you know, people don't get mad at you. You don't even hear from the Treasury. I mean, you can knock almost any investment, and people may get a little irritated. But when you talk about gold, and of course that says something about their motivations for ownership. They want people to agree with them. They want everybody to get so scared they run to a cave with gold. Caves might be a better investment than gold. I mean, at least they're not producing more caves all the time. So they want people to be as afraid as they are, because that's what's going to produce an increase in prices. Incidentally, they're right to be afraid of paper money. I mean, they have their basic premise that paper money around the world is going to get worth less and less and less over time is absolutely correct. But
you just disagree with the investment theory beyond that.
Yeah. Where they run from that, and they should run from it, is where, in my view, they make the mistake. But they have a correct basic premise. Mm-hmm.
So there you go. One thing gold bugs, Bitcoin holders, and Buffett have in common: fear of the dollar. Now, where we run from that is the question we should be asking. According to Buffett, it's real businesses with real assets. According to Schiff, it's gold. And according to the Winklevoss twins, it's crypto. Now that we have established that paper money sucks, where we go from that is the big question. My answer, the one that nobody gets excited about, is simple. Why not just diversify in all three? The Central Bank of the United States just printed off a couple trillion, and based on some rumors, it seems like there are plans on adding to that number. Everyone is slowly starting to realize that inflation has started, and this idea that it's going to remain temporary is beginning to lose steam. People are worried about their savings. Even Buffett acknowledged the pricing pressure and the troubling developments in DC. So what do you do to protect your wealth? Well, I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice, but I can tell you what I'm doing. I'm investing in real stocks with real assets like Berkshire, Alcalor, and simple ETFs like SPY. Along with that, I own some gold coins and my newest investment, crypto. I'm not here to tell you that Bitcoin will be the future of Earth or that it's your ticket to millions. I'm simply saying that in my humble opinion, it's a good asset to have looking towards the future, as it definitely could act as an alternative to precious metals, and given the technology behind it, I can see why the crypto crowd is so excited about these internet assets that only exist in code. I know that's a rather boring take, but unfortunately you won't hear that opinion too many times on YouTube. So thank you guys for watching, and as always, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed.